Well, hello there, woman beings. How are you today? Hope you're having a beautiful morning, evening, afternoon, weekend, whatever time of day or weekday you may be listening on this fine hour. Today, we're going to be talking about sugar, spice, everything nice, and makeup. That's right. The shit you put on your face that makes you feel good. We're going to talk about it. Pro, for, against, all of it. And so without further ado, we're going to, have you guessed it yet? Dive right in. This is Woman Being,
where we explore thoughts and opinions
and have the freedom to change our minds
without expectation or judgment.
We will hold a safe space and support each other
as we navigate together in the form of feminine.
Today, I am here, of course, who else would I be here with? With the stunning Emma.
Hello.
And the transcendent Kelly.
What's up?
If you are listening...
Who are you?
I'm Kelly Ann, and I'm your host today. We're going to be talking about makeup, which is going to be super fun. If you are listening, which is great because we are on every podcast platform, well, most podcast platforms. If you've heard of it, we're on it. We're on Audible, Spotify, all the other ones.
Apple,
Stitcher,
Amazon,
you name it. But if you're listening, it's because we're on one of those platforms. But if you're not watching... You know, we're on YouTube as well, so you should check that out. But you can't see our faces, which we have lipstick on. Some of us have highlighter on. We have dolled up for this fun topic today, which was given to us by one of our listeners, actually. So if you're interested in joining in on that conversation and making suggestions to us, go ahead and follow us. Like, what are you doing?
Follow us where?
On Instagram.
Heck yeah.
I was going to say... other ones too, but we're not on those.
We're on TikTok.
We are on TikTok.
We never talk about our TikTok. We are on TikTok.
Gotta give TikTok the
as
love.
Woman Being podcast.
So, follow us there, leave us a review, like our stuff. It really helps us out and we appreciate it. So, anyway, ladies, I have some fun makeup questions for you to start off our episode.
We have some fun makeup answers.
So, I have to know, at what age did you start wearing makeup?
Oh.
At what age? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I definitely remember very distinctly being in kindergarten, and I had a friend named Pam, and she was cool.
Pam.
Yeah, she was cool. I was like her little groupie friend, and she got this like huge like box full of kids' makeup.
Oh yeah.
And we had this little system in our like classroom where you like ask to go to the bathroom and then you take like a little like feather thing and go into the bathroom with it. And so then everyone knows someone's in the bathroom. And so what she did was she asked to go to the bathroom and then didn't take the feather thing. And then I asked to go to the bathroom and took it. So we were both in the bathroom at the same time.
Sneaky.
And we got out her little makeup and we're putting makeup on our faces and we got in trouble.
That is so fun.
In kindergarten.
Yes.
Wow. I love it.
I mean, we were sneaking around.
We would have been
makeup
friends.
during class time.
100%.
I was a little bit of a troublemaker as a kindergartner, not gonna lie.
Whoa. Who knew you had a rebellious streak?
Yes, I did. I was kissing all the boys on the bus.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I really was, yeah.
I'm shook.
Wow, we were two peas in a pod.
I remember.
I got married at every play date.
I heard about girls who did that, and I had friends who did that, and I was like, what, boys?
Yeah, there's this guy named Jack on the bus, and we used to kiss. And this other guy named Ishmael who'd be like, kiss, 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 kiss.
And you were like, okay.
Yeah. And I was like,
Wow.
Emma, when did you start wearing makeup?
The first time that I can remember wearing makeup was, I think I was in maybe second grade, and I got this like goopy, glittery kids makeup kit that I brought to school, and then my friends and I sat in the corner of the playground during recess and just like gooped it onto our faces. And it was very exciting because like my other friends like didn't have access to makeup, but like I was like the dealer. I had the makeup.
You had the stuff.
Yeah. I do remember also getting like a pink like box as a gift at one point that was like, you like lift up the lid and then it like has little like compartments that like swing out and then like ones that pull out, and it was this whole kids makeup kit.
Nice.
And I thought it was the coolest thing ever,
That's the
even though it
shit.
was basically just like plastic. Like, I mean, it was makeup, but it was not makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, mine was like a little suitcase. Well, Pam's was
Yeah.
a little suitcase, and then I wanted it, and then I got it for my birthday.
Oh.
So it was like a
Yeah.
little suitcase full of makeup.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I feel like
Suitcase full
I
of
had a
toxic-
suitcase or two of like makeup, of this
Oh,
fake
yeah.
kids makeup. It was just the best thing
It
ever.
was amazing.
Absolutely the
But
best.
it wasn't like a daily thing that I
No.
wore.
Yeah.
It was like you just play with it and
Yeah.
like put it on your face and then carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, for my 5th birthday party, distinctly remember I had one friend over. That's the only person I wanted. And my cousin Valerie, whom I love, shout out to Valerie, gave me a bright emerald green prom dress that clearly did not fit on me because I was 5. And she gave me a tiara, and she gave me this cute little like purse thing that had a tube of red lipstick in it. And I like smeared that lipstick all over my face, and it's the cutest picture actually. I have like
Yeah.
lipstick
like the
smeared on the
Joker.
side of my face. No. I was fucking cute. Not the Joker.
The Joker's cool.
He's cute. What do you mean?
Yeah, Heath Ledger.
Moving on. And that was my first like makeup moment, and it was the best. So, what is your favorite makeup item to put on?
Oh. Highlighter. If I could just like smash it all over my face, I would.
You absolutely could.
I could, but I don't think it would look as good. You know, it's like too much of a good thing
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, I get it.
But I never wore like face makeup until very recently, in terms of like, I never wore blush, blush, highlighter, bronzer, anything like that until maybe 2 years ago.
Wow.
I just like wasn't interested in it.
Wow.
And I thought it was weird. And so I love the highlight now because I just want to glow.
glow.
Yeah.
You do glow.
You do glow very often.
You do.
Yeah.
you.
You have beautiful,
For the
radiant everything.
You have beautiful, radiant everything.
Yeah,
Wow.
literally.
What a word.
Yeah.
I hadn't really considered this question. I think probably I would go with like eye makeup, just because it's kind of fun to like do a little design situation on the
Yeah.
on the eyelid.
Oh yeah.
But that's the only time I would ever wear it is when I'm like throwing a little on for a party or something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the only time I really put on makeup and it's fun.
Yeah.
I would say.
Okay.
I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I do find like putting mascara on to be very therapeutic. Like I'm just putting it on and I'm like just layering it and glooping it. And it's like, this is like an experience. And it feels like meditative. And on mornings that I don't have enough time, like where I'm running late, I'm like, I just can't do mascara because I can't dedicate the proper time to it. And so I'll just go without it. It's like either I get to really enjoy my mascara experience or I go with none.
I've never like had that sort of enjoyment of mascara.
And affection.
Yeah.
I love mascara. I think mascara, it's a tie for, well, so I really love mascara. I really love doing my brows. I really love blush. Really fun. And I also, when I do wear it, really love lipstick. So I don't think I can pick one.
How dare you make us pick and then come with the curveball that you aren't going to pick one.
Do you make a makeup face when you're putting on mascara
Probably.
or anything in particular? Do you make makeup faces?
I've thought about this. It's hard because you don't really know you're making the face if you're making it, right? Unless someone maybe calls you out on it. But as you're doing it, you don't really think about it. I feel like maybe you think differently.
I feel like I catch myself
But-
all the time.
Oh, see, I feel like I don't really do... Like, I know people talk about how when they do mascara, they'll do, like, the O with their mouth.
I'm like,
But I just don't. I'm just, like, deadpan when I'm doing it. So I don't feel like I really make faces, but I might that I don't realize.
I feel like I almost definitely make faces because I make faces when I do everything. So it's very likely. I don't know what those would be, but I mean, I know I do a lot of like mouth stretching and
Oh, yeah.
like
What? Why?
I don't know, like
For makeup?
yeah. You gotta be like
Oh, yeah.
the
I always,
concealer
like,
thing, you're like
Oh.
you know,
Yeah,
when
I
I
don't
put
do
on-
that.
when I do blush, I, like, tilt my entire mouth to the side. I go, like,
oh yeah, I could get the line.
oh, yeah.
You can see your
Oh.
jawline. Yeah.
To see my cheekbone.
Yep.
No, I don't do that.
Anyway. Okay, final fun question.
And then the
serious.
unfun questions.
Not fun.
No fun makeup.
This is a not fun episode.
On a self-care day, do you go with or without makeup?
Without.
What's a self-care day?
Up to interpretation. If you are going to get a massage or like doing an at-home spa day or like treating yourself or, you know, just a lot of people like to just wander around Target.
I don't know. I don't really like have intentional self-care days. So that's not really something I consider. But like if I have a day that I'm not really leaving the house or like doing anything, I don't put makeup on. Or if I'm like just going to the store, I don't put makeup on.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I get that. I don't like put on makeup to like leave the house per se. However, most days I start out like I'm going to work or like doing the podcast or something. So I'll do my makeup. But like I have intentional day, like every Sunday, I intentionally try to not use my phone. I call it no phone Sundays and not wear makeup. So I give myself like a little break. But anyways.
I just have a few things to say.
Oh,
before we move on.
yes.
I'm definitely, on most self-care days, a no makeup person because to me, wearing makeup is annoying. It's just like an extra step. Unless it's like for a fun thing, and then in which case it's fun. But for the most part, it's like I have to do this in the morning before I leave. And so for me, it's like a break from having to do the thing
Gotcha.
that I have to do before I get up and get ready or whatever.
Interesting.
Yes.
I want to hear more about that.
I used to actually not wear makeup really ever
When did you start?
when I moved here.
Interesting. Okay.
So that would be what?
March
So when you
2019.
met us.
No.
Well, when you
Before
met
I met
me.
you. When I moved out here. And to me, it was a professional decision. I was like, if I want to rise the ranks of my job and whatever, I'm going to have to look the part. So I started wearing makeup every day.
That is an interesting thing that, yes, I feel like we should
We can
definitely
get into
circle
that.
back
We can get into that for sure.
Because that is a whole topic. But, so tell me about your upbringing around makeup. Like, were your parents like, sure, wear it whenever? Were they really strict? Or like, I know some people were like, you can't wear makeup till you're 16. And when you can wear it at 16, then it's only specific kind of makeup. Were your parents like particular about that? What was the conversation around, like in your friend groups around makeup growing up? Tell me everything.
So my mom never wore makeup. So to me, I wasn't like necessarily like pining away to be able to wear makeup. As we talked about earlier, I definitely had like my childhood moments where we would throw on like horrible goop glitter and look a certain way. But I do remember one specific time my mom had this like green eyeshadow and I put that on and went to second grade or something like that. And there's two girls in the class who were like bullies and they were like, why are you wearing makeup? Like they're just like making fun of me for wearing eyeshadow. And then I was like, because I want to.
They were clearly not as fabulous as you.
And I remember my teacher being like, but why are you wearing makeup or whatever? And I was like,
Because you
I
look
wanted
amazing.
to.
Yeah.
And he was basically like, that's not appropriate for school. And so I was like, okay. I mean, I was in second grade, so that's fine. But yeah, it was a weird thing. But yeah, my mom never like promoted it and she never necessarily like kiboshed it. It just was not really around in my life. And so I just never like was super curious about it. And I think on top of that, my dad was very much like I was the girl who wanted to take figure skating and he put me in hockey. And I did my hair in a cute ponytail and I wanted him to say I looked nice and he was like, you look nice all the time. So like I also had that sort of upbringing where like femininity and the expressions of it were not necessarily rewarded. And so I was very tomboyish for most of my childhood. And so therefore no makeup for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, for me, I grew up around a lot of women who did wear makeup and pretty like heavily wore makeup for the most part. Especially like one of my grandmothers is like very into the makeup, and most of my aunts were. My mom was probably like the least made up of all the women in my family, but she did wear it. And it was I never really got a specific like framework of what I should do with makeup from my parents. They were like, do whatever you want. If you want to wear it, go for it. If you don't. Like they were just like, do your thing. And I remember my mom, like when I started getting like legitimately interested in makeup as like a preteen, like where I was like, okay, I want to actually wear makeup, not just this glitter goopy crap. She like took me to a department store and like got me some makeup from like a counter.
Aww.
And yeah, and
That's
so
really
like
sweet.
we like did that, and she got me, I think it was all Clinique because she's a Clinique gal. And so I got Clinique makeup, and she like sort of, I think that maybe the woman at the counter like sort of showed me how to use some different things. But then, yeah, like it was sort of do whatever you want. If you express that you want to wear makeup, great. If you don't want to wear makeup, great. Like it was very like loose for the most part. But I definitely did grow up around, especially like the other women in my family outside of my mom were very into their appearance. And so I feel like I did get some messaging from them that was kind of like, well, you need makeup in order to be beautiful, essentially. And even though my mom didn't wear like a ton of makeup, she definitely for a while was the type of woman who like wouldn't leave the house without makeup on. And so that messaging also came across to me, and I adopted that later on. But that was sort of my original introduction to like real makeup and like what it was like in my home, really.
Yeah. It's interesting. Some of my fondest memories actually of like early childhood is actually sitting on like the toilet seat and like sitting there watching my mom do her makeup, and then like digging through her makeup bag to find like an old lipstick that hopefully she won't notice is missing.
So stealing is one of your fond memories.
No, my
you
mom
were a
was like,
thief.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I always loved makeup. And like my cousin Valerie, who I mentioned earlier, that gave me a prom dress lipstick and a tiara. Actually, like we would go to her house and she would like clean out her old makeup. Like, but she was like a hoity-toity like pharmaceutical rep in like her early 20s, and like would just buy whatever she wanted and then realize like I don't need all this. And like she would have like bags of unopened makeup and she would like give it to us, and then all us girls would like go home and like sort through it and like make sure everyone got even amounts of makeup. And it was just like something that we really loved and really enjoyed. Growing up, my mom is not particularly like a girly girl, but something she did always do was her makeup. And I think there was a time she was the person that wouldn't leave the house without makeup. But like as we got older, like she started to like do that a little bit more. And actually, the first time I ever got grounded was trying to wear blush out of the house. My dad actually stopped me and was like, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Well, you got me this amazing makeup kit for Christmas. I'm wearing the blush that came in it." And he was like, "No, go wash it off." And so it was really weird because it was like, for some reason, I could play with it and it'd be like a toy and enjoy it, but I couldn't wear it out of the house. I was young too. I was like maybe like 9. But I was also one of the first girls in my friend group to start wearing makeup regularly. I mean, I was young, but it was for a love of it, not for the feeling like I need this to look beautiful. And there's also like there was a lot of shame from other like girls. Like, why are you wearing that? That's like so silly. Like, and I would, like after dance class, I'd go to the bathroom and like redo my makeup because I felt so beautiful and it was so fun and I loved it. And it was like, why are you doing that? Why are you wearing makeup? And I was like, whatever, girl, I'm wearing some cute blue eyeshadow. You do you, I'm doing me. So it's really interesting. Like there's so many different perspectives and cultures around wearing makeup, right? For some reason, this big thing, well, that's not that big, is like a big choice for young women and for families. Like it feels like there's a lot of pressure to have a stance of like, young girls should not wear makeup. Young girls should wear makeup. Young girls, frankly, should just do whatever they want because it doesn't matter. But
yeah, well, for sure, it seems like kids growing up with like parents that did not let them wear makeup, if they see other people wearing makeup, they're like, you're not supposed to be wearing makeup. You're too young for that, because that's what they've been told. And there's, it's kind of like that awkward season of life when everyone's
totally
not really sure. Like, I think the kids who were bothering me about the green eyeshadow were probably like, you can't wear makeup. We can't wear makeup.
Yeah.
Nobody's supposed to be wearing makeup, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
So kind of on that note, do you feel like you experienced shame around wearing makeup growing up as a young woman or as a young teenager, maybe even late teens? I mean, fill in the blank. Did you ever feel any shame around that, either to or to not?
I definitely felt like as I got into like my preteen, early teen years, I felt like I needed makeup in order to be like confident, secure, whatever. I felt self-conscious about my skin, and so I wanted to like cover up my skin. I also felt very self-conscious whenever there was a makeup mishap that was happening. Like if I was wearing like, I don't know, concealer or something and it like caked in a weird way, or if powder settled on my skin in a weird way, or if mascara got under my eyes, I was like, this is extremely embarrassing. Like I was mortified if anything like that happened. So I was always checking how I was looking, and I carried a mirror with me all the time. And so that was part of my experience with makeup, in like feeling sort of like, I started to adapt that idea of I shouldn't leave the house without makeup on. I shouldn't let people see me without makeup on. I made sure that I had waterproof mascara so that then if I went swimming, I would have makeup on still.
Wow.
And would like wear makeup to the pool. And I wasn't even wearing a ton of makeup necessarily, but it was like, I need to have something. Because it was basically concealer, mascara, eyeliner was all that I ever wore, and like powder. And so there was that. But then at the same time, as I was in that age range, I started using makeup for a lot of self-expression, particularly because at that time I got very into like the emo scene sort of, culture.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started wearing heavier and heavier eyeliner. And I also would wear crazy colors of eyeliner. I would wear a different color every single day of the week. So I had black, purple, green, blue, and pink. And when I wore the pink one, people would legitimately come up to me and ask if I had pink eye. And it was slightly embarrassing, but I was also like, you're dumb. I'm wearing makeup. Don't you understand?
Eyeliner thing.
I did start to phase that one out, though, as more people started saying that. And I did have, like, I even remember a boy that I was friends with in middle school, like, asked me why I started doing my makeup like a raccoon, because I was wearing, like, the heavy, dark eyeliner, because I was trying to be a cool emo scene girl. And I was like, it's not like a raccoon. But I was so, like, offended that he would say that. And so it was, like, a way for me to try to feel more confident, because I definitely felt insecure without makeup at that time. And then also it was a way for me to try to, like, blend with this sort of, like, look that I liked with, like, that group of people, the, like, emo scene crowd.
Yeah.
So I definitely felt shame around it in that way. But then also it all changed when I became a Christian too, which is a whole other thing.
Dun, dun, dun. Stay tuned. Dramatic pause.
We'll circle back to that, Emma.
Yes, we will.
For me, like I said, my dad and my mom in general, I don't know, like my whole family just didn't affirm femininity, like expressions of it. Like I was very tomboyish. I like played sports. I cut my hair short. Like I tried to kind of like, I think I was just trying to seek my dad's approval because I think I often got like praise and whatever from being tough and like boyish more so than I did from like dressing up and looking cute and being feminine. So I just didn't wear makeup, and then it kind of eventually turned into like a vanity thing where I was like, well, I'm pretty without it, so too bad, everyone, you know?
Because I'm just so great. I don't even need makeup.
Exactly.
It's built in.
It was kind of like, I don't need makeup, so sorry, you know?
Yeah.
And
Or did you ever have people ask you, like, oh my gosh, like, what kind of whatever are you wearing? And you'll be like, nothing. Did you ever have that?
No.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that happened to me once.
Oh.
Someone was like, Kelly, your lipstick's so beautiful. What's it called? And I was like, chapped lips.
yeah, like chapstick? I don't know what to tell you.
I've had a lot of people ask me about blush I'm wearing, and I didn't wear blush until this year.
So you're like, I'm not.
So yeah, it was like, I just have flushed cheeks. I don't know what to tell
I'm
you.
just hat.
But apparently people liked that.
I feel like maybe I would, like, if we were talking about makeup, I might say, like, I don't wear makeup. But people would be like, really? And I'd be like, yeah.
You'd be like, yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, you know. But
Yeah.
I just didn't, I mean, aside from, like, school plays and stuff or, like, special occasions, just didn't really wear it ever. So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, wow. I think I experienced a lot of shame around not wearing makeup, or that I should not wear makeup. But also, like, for me, makeup was like a joy. It was like a form of self-expression. It was like self-care. It was the thing I looked forward to doing every morning. Like, it was like, I just loved it. And I had friends that also loved it. And that was like so much fun. But my favorite thing was to get together with my friends and do makeup. And actually, I love that you brought up colored eyeliner because I also dabbled in the scene look for quite some time. And Hot Topic at the time had the best colored eyeliner, in my opinion.
I bought mine from like the drugstore. So
Yeah. I remember we always like, there was like a scary wall of t-shirts back when like Hot Topic was like actually for like intense real people versus like, oh, we've got Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp merch. Like, it was a very different Hot Topic, kids.
Yeah.
And it was actually like, they had like horrible t-shirts on the wall and we were like, don't look, it's so scary. And then we'd like go to the eyeliner corner and pick out like a bunch of different colors. It was really fun. But yeah, it was like, for me, it was just so freeing and such a form of self-expression. But a lot of like girls I knew around church kind of like shamed it. Or a lot of like other parents were like, oh, you don't need that. You're beautiful. And I'm like, that's not the point. Like, of course I'm beautiful. Like, the point is it's fun. And so I just never took it that seriously, or as seriously as everyone else seemed to take it.
Yeah.
If I ever felt like shame around makeup, it was more so like being older and actually not really knowing anything about it because I never wore it. And like having to ask my friends, like, what do I do? I don't know what any of this is. And so that was probably more so like my fear. But I mean, I'm certain that like conservative influences probably kept me from experimenting with it as well.
Totally. So then, did church culture or purity culture, do you think, play a role in your view of makeup, like growing up as you were blossoming into a beautiful woman?
Blossoming.
I mean,
Had to throw that word.
Probs.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
odds are yes. I don't, again, because I didn't wear it, I was like exempt. And so like did not internalize any sort of messaging about makeup because it just didn't really apply to me. I was never led to believe that wearing makeup was bad. I definitely probably looked down on girls who felt like they had to wear it in a way. Like, I think I felt like it was like, well, you're insecure and you did not be, you know, like.
Just don't.
Yeah, just
like,
don't
stop.
be insecure or whatever. I'm not insecure, which is like total lie. Definitely was. But yeah, I don't know. Like our church didn't like preach about makeup specifically. And I have heard horror stories of people like having to be careful about what shade of lipstick or, you know, nail polish that they wear because
Don't want to look like a harlot.
Yeah, red is off.
Wow.
Pink,
Red is like super slutty.
the pink shades are good, but the closer you get to red, the more slutty. Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't personally experience that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
experienced that.
Really?
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Really?
It was like you should not wear. It's too adult is what was told to me. But what they meant was you look like someone's mistress. Or like I remember also like this like idea and messaging of like if you are a young woman like in youth group, like you should basically look innocent. Like almost like you should look virginal in a way. Therefore, you should not wear makeup. But once you're married, you should always wear makeup because you want to look good for your husband. I remember like that distinct difference of like once you are perfect and innocent and pure, and then you transition into almost like a woman when you get married. And I don't know where that distinctly came from. I don't remember those exact words being preached at me, but I remember that was the idea. And
Just
like
slowly translated. Yeah.
yeah.
I get that.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like it's the continued fetishization of the virgin and then of the wife and like this whole idea of like what it means to be a woman. And there's just no reason why the church should even have a say in that, honestly. Like there's no wearing makeup is not consequential to your like sexuality or level of sexual promiscuity or your like it has no indication of your activity or your character as a human at all. It is just a way that you decorate yourself, you know? Like that's wild to me. But I found so I became a Christian like right as I was entering high school, and I was wearing makeup not as intensely as I was in middle school in terms of like the eyeliner situation, but I was definitely still wearing it. And I remember actually my pastor never like spoke about makeup or anything like that. I even remember my pastor's wife would like talk to us like girls who were like the young girls in the church about like how she was trying out different makeups and how she was like excited about it because she was never a big makeup wearer, but she was like, oh, like I decided to try mascara, and we were like, oh, you look great. And like I remember it being really cute and sweet. But I do also remember one time a boy in my church said to me that like basically that any girl who wears makeup looks terrible and that she must like be trying to like cover something up. And I was like instantly just like mortified at that statement. And he was like an older boy in the church, and so I like trusted his opinion and from that day stopped wearing makeup. Because I was so like fearful of being seen as
Someone
I guess
who's
like
hiding or
being seen as like fake, I guess.
okay.
Or even like because he said that you weren't beautiful with makeup on, and I was like, well, I want to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I remember getting that message from this one specific boy, which like is wild to me that I just changed what I did with my life over this one thing this boy said. I didn't even like him. Like, I didn't even have a crush on him.
And it probably wasn't directed at you specifically either.
I don't know. It felt a little bit like it was, but maybe that was like my teenage brain just like letting the world revolve around me. But yeah, I stopped wearing it from that day for 2 years after that. Just no makeup, cold turkey, because I felt like that was like the more sort of like humble thing to do, and that was going to make me more beautiful and more, maybe even more desirable to a guy, especially a Christian guy, because I was not wearing makeup. And so, yeah, I stopped wearing it. And I mean, that was not dumb, but it was a poor reason to stop wearing makeup based off of one comment that a stupid teenage boy made. But I did actually find that that period was very beneficial to me in breaking the thought pattern that I needed makeup that I had, because I felt very dependent on makeup. And so when I went cold turkey on it, it was like, okay, well, you have to embrace your natural beauty, which I wasn't. Like, I didn't want to embrace my natural beauty. I wanted to cover it up. So that was helpful, but I wish that it wasn't like a harmful comment that catalyzed that.
Totally. It's crazy how those like random comments from boys that like say something offhand or like you see on the internet or whatever, like will completely change the trajectory of how you see yourself and see others.
100%.
I mean, I definitely heard those similar messages like, oh, girls with makeup or without makeup are prettier anyways. Like, I can't trust a girl who wears makeup because who knows what she looks like without it. You know, like just dumb stuff like that
Do the pool test.
Right.
Dunk them in a pool to see what their real face looks like.
Yeah, as if that matters.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely like it's just confusing. And it's just wild that we place so much, I don't know, value on what these side comments
Yeah.
say.
It happens, though. I mean, I remember one time in youth group, there was like a slideshow, and I popped up in one of the pictures, and a boy like yelled out, like, "Geez, Kelly, like you've got a massive forehead," and I was like, "Oh my god, I have a massive forehead!" Like, and it was like
Nothing
the most.
about you is massive.
Thank you. Maybe
Except
my
that
butt.
ass.
Except that honky tonk, but honky
But like I was like mortified, and still to this day I'm like, Kelly, you don't have a massive forehead. You are okay. Your forehead's a normal size. Like, and I think that people just don't realize the weight of their words.
That's dumb.
But on the other hand, too, more around makeup is like I also remember like girls thinking I was vain because I wore makeup, or girls thinking that I was shallow or like ditzy because I chose to wear makeup. Like instantly.
As
like,
if putting that on your face would lower your intelligence.
But in those circles I ran in, it did, in their opinions. It's like, oh, you wear makeup, you are instantly on this totem pole. Like, you are, like, further down in the, like, quote-unquote spiritual, like, intelligence ranking. And it was really weird, but also I was just like, whatever. Like, I like it, so I continued on. But it's definitely interesting, like, when you're young, your perception of it.
Yeah, I even remember on a reverse side of, like, a side comment that somebody made, someone made a comment in middle school that I looked like I had no eyebrows. So I started filling my eyebrows in from that day on. I was, like, so insecure about my eyebrows. And I still am a little bit insecure about my eyebrows, honestly. So, like, that was a reverse where I started wearing makeup for something because of a comment somebody said. But there were so many things like that. Even, like, I was very insecure about my forehead.
Got a
because
great forehead.
What?
You've got a great forehead.
Thank you.
Very majestic.
I don't look at anyone's foreheads and think, wow, what a forehead.
I
the
look
thing-
at everyone's forehead now.
I feel like, I don't know if it was, like, our generation, but I felt like there was a lot of focus around people's foreheads and, like, whether or not you had a 5 head and that kind of thing, which was, like, such a harmful way of saying that. Like, it's, like, intentionally supposed to be, like, mean to say, like, oh, you have a 5 head instead of a 4 head because it's so big.
So dumb.
And I would get that, and then I had bangs for years because I wanted to cover it up. Every single selfie I took was cut off at the eyebrows because I didn't want to show people my forehead.
I remember that trend when it was like, I'm not going to show my whole face.
Yes.
Aw.
So it's wild how much someone's comment can, like, just totally influence the way that you perceive yourself, especially in those formative years. It's just it's a lot easier when you're older and, like, you have a lot more, like, self-confidence and just, like, surety in who you are. But when you're young like that, you're very impressionable, and you're like, well, if they said that, it must be true.
Well, and I think even, like, opposite can be true in a sense. Like, people, like, certain compliments I've noticed that I grew up with when I was, like, a 16-year-old with a teeny tiny body, like, carry with you. Like, you're like, oh, this is something that gives me value. Like, people say I am skinny, therefore that is good, and they are jealous. And so that is, like, something that I must keep with me to maintain my, like, worth, essentially. And then you get older and your body starts to change and whatever. And I've noticed in the last like couple years, I've become a lot more insecure about my weight, which is crazy because I think for so long, like that was something I held on to as something that made me valuable to the world. And so like, I think having like imbalanced perceptions of like your appearance in general can be harmful, like whether it's good or bad. I mean, I used to have friends that told me I had small boobs. That is dumb. I do not.
Yeah.
You do not have small boobs.
But because I was skinny and whatever, I wasn't like curvy like they were. And so I just always thought like, no, and they would say this, which is another thing, just don't get bad friends. But they would say like, oh, guys don't want someone without any like curves or whatever and stuff like that. And so you're like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
I wish I had a butt, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
You can have some of mine.
I don't need it, honestly. I was just like literally completely deceived.
Yeah.
Because I have a great butt, I have great boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're
I'm also
beautiful.
not fat. And even if I was, that doesn't make me invaluable or unvaluable. Worthless? Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely found that as well, and like feeling worth in being skinny.
Yeah.
Because when I went to college, I started gaining weight, and I was like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, I started feeling so insecure, and I never felt insecure about my body before. Well, I did. I felt insecure that I was too skinny because people would make comments about how skinny I was, and it would almost feel like they were saying it as if it was a bad thing.
But it's almost like they're saying it as a bad thing, but you know it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like
It was just so backhanded, it
Yeah.
felt like. And so it was hard for me to grapple with that. But then the moment that I started gaining weight when I went to college, it was like, well, what's wrong with me? What am I if I'm not this skinny girl? But I look at photos of myself from then and I'm like, oh, I look sick. Like, I was so skinny. And it wasn't intentional. It was just the way my metabolism worked at the time. And then your metabolism slows down and you
Yeah.
gain more weight. And like, I've a much healthier weight now.
right.
So, anyways.
All that to be said. Dumb side comments can really turn you down a path.
Can
They-
really mess you up.
They just really just like flip you into a tailspin or whatever the phrase is. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A spiral.
Little
Yes.
spiral. Yeah, they're rough. So then speaking of those types of backhanded comments or, you know, whatever, are there any stereotypes you had to break down around makeup as you got older? I mean, Kelly, you mentioned earlier choosing to wear makeup later in life because of professional reasons. Emma, you mentioned choosing not to wear makeup because you wanted Christian boys to like you. So yeah, like how did those things play out in your lives?
Yeah, for me, like entering into adulthood, I eventually started kind of like experimenting with makeup. Like I would ask the person at Ulta or Sephora or whatever, like, can you help me find something, you know? And so I like slowly started to build up my like, I don't know, repertoire. But I didn't really fully start wearing it until I came here and started working at like a church that was trendier and hipper than anywhere else I had worked before. And I noticed like, oh, if I'm going to be successful here, I have to also be trendy and hip, which probably means I should start wearing makeup. And so I did.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Yeah. I feel like, so I went the 2 years without makeup and sort of had the impression that, well, if you wear too much makeup, then you're hiding your real face. You know, like you have insecurity, which we've touched on. But then I started gradually bringing makeup back in when I was in college. And I remember at first it was a little bit hard for me to like bring it back in. I was dating a guy at the time and I wore makeup for this like event and he had like never seen me wear makeup and we were FaceTiming and he like made a comment about it and I like instantly twisted it and was like, so like he said it looked nice and I was like, what do you mean I don't look nice without it? Like I was because I was like struggling with the like
Yeah.
idea of like, okay, how do I wear makeup in a healthy way?
Right.
And it felt very like he was trying to be nice and like compliment me on something I was doing that was new, and I was instantly like, I don't know how to handle this.
Right.
And but it started becoming a much more of a fun thing, which like I mentioned with like the different colored eyeliners and everything, it was fun, but it was really rooted in a lot of insecurity. And then when I started playing with makeup again in college, it was like, oh, this is genuinely just fun, and like I don't have to wear this every day, and I can feel comfortable like doing any variety of makeup. And I started playing with like lipstick and got very into lipstick for a while, and like then eyeshadow and different stuff, and like just learning and enjoying it. But I feel like that was one of the stereotypes was like, yeah, you are insecure if you're gonna wear makeup. And I had to like slowly break that one down. And then I feel like there was another one. Oh, and I also had the sentiment that like if you're gonna be taken seriously, you have to wear makeup. Which is
That's a stereotype I still ascribe to. Like
Yes.
I wear makeup to this day because of that. I think like it genuinely affects how people perceive me at work and in my profession and on a podcast. Like I feel like appearance is very much rooted in a lot of things about how people perceive you.
yeah.
And I think it's like an asset that I have to use for my benefit.
Well, I remember my mom told me that she used to not wear makeup. And then when she started working for state government, she started wearing makeup. It was like she realized, like, I have to wear this in order to move up. And I have to dress this way in order to move up. And I even remember back in the day when I used to watch Nick at Night, there was an episode of Malcolm in the Middle where the mother of the family, she worked at a grocery store and she never wore makeup. But one day she wore makeup to work for some reason, and she was treated radically differently at work in this episode. And then she like went back to not wearing makeup and it was like back to the way that she used to be treated, which was like she was treated way nicer when she wore makeup. She was noticed more by her superiors. Like she was like seen as a more favorable employee because she wore makeup, which is like fascinating that this dumb show like Malcolm in the Middle like had this social commentary on it. But that episode has always stuck out to me because it felt very just like profound that they were calling that out, because that is a real assumption is like, yeah, if you don't wear makeup, you're not putting effort in, and you are therefore like maybe not as not going to put effort into your work somehow. Or...
I don't know. I feel like it's about being cool, honestly. Like I think when you like boil it down, this is my take on it. I think wearing makeup is cool, and therefore people like cool people. And so if you want to be liked, then you need to wear makeup, and in order to get promoted and get attention, whatever, you have to be liked. Therefore, you have to wear makeup. I don't know. That's my theory. I think it's just as simple as cool people wear makeup, therefore cool people get attention for wearing it.
That's fascinating. To me, I don't think of makeup as like inherently cool, because I think about like old ladies that wear makeup that are like not cool.
No,
like they've worn
I
it their
know.
whole life.
I'm
you
not
know?
saying
And-
wearing makeup itself is cool, but I'm saying cool people wear makeup. And so if you want to be cool, and this is like, you know, the very broadest sense of the word, but like essentially it's a matter of like assimilating and being like one of the people as opposed to being contrary.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I have always associated it with effort. Like you put effort into how you look, and that like means that you care about the work that you're doing, you know, and that kind of thing. And I think there is some of that assimilation for sure that you mentioned. Like I even think about the way that women wear their hair has to do with how well they're going to do in work. And that's been a big issue, especially with women of color, is, you know, that we have to have literal laws about how you can treat women who have textured hair, because it's been an issue, or women don't get hired or promoted because of it. And I think that's in that same vein of like, there's a perception that a certain type of person wears makeup or dresses well or
Yeah.
or does their hair a certain way, and therefore those are the people we want to notice and promote and like make successful. But like that, I mean, as long as you were like hygienically good in your appearance, like as long as you are taking care of yourself from like a hygiene perspective, really like your appearance in other ways shouldn't matter to your work.
But it like does so much.
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't.
No, I know. It's just like, even like clothes, like that's a whole other piece of it that we're not talking about. But like, I've talked about this lately, is like there's clothes that I would have worn at this job, and now I've moved to the new job, and I have to change the way I dress, right? Because like there's a level of like, how do I fit in? How do I like dress in a way that people are going to be impressed with, that's going to leave an impression that people are going to think, oh, I like that person, I want her in the room with me. Like, I don't know. I feel like it all ties together, and I think it's all about being cool. But not that like, I mean, I think there's a level of like, if you show up looking dumpy, that's going to have an effect. But like, I think it's mostly about like, what are they, like, are they fashionable? Are they trendy?
It's so fascinating because dumpy, quote unquote, is relative,
Totally.
It's all relative to whatever our culture has deemed as, fashionable or good or whatever. Like, just like with makeup, it's whatever the makeup trend is what is favored. So like, actually, I was thinking about this the other day because I saw a woman who had like the sperm eyebrows. That are like the you've never hey
Oh, the ones that are wavy.
no where it's like a tadpole, where it's really like big at the front and then it's just a thin line. It's a big 90s thing.
Yeah.
90s, early 2000s. It was all about the thin eyebrows, but like you'd have like a large part at the front.
Yeah, like a little like,
and then it was like thin across.
So she's like out of fashion.
Yes.
Yeah.
She had very outdated eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I judged her for it. And I mean, it's not like I was mean to her or anything, but I took notice of it. And
You're
I
like,
was
oh.
like, oh, she's stuck
in
in
the
the past
90s,
a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. And that is literally just a preference of the current trends. Like, currently it's more favorable to have bigger eyebrows. Back then you would have been ridiculed if you had big eyebrows. So it's just, it's fascinating to me when you think about stuff like that. I think about that when it comes to modesty, when it comes to fashion, makeup, hairstyles. It's all so relative to what we deem appropriate.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is 100% cultural. But I also personally do take note of people's eyebrows, and I do judge them harshly if they have bad eyebrows.
I hope you'd tell me if I had bad eyebrows.
No, you have good eyebrows.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I that's super fair. I think, gosh, what have I had to break down? I mean, I think I went, like, I had this one moment, because I went from high school, took a year off, then moved out here to ministry school, and I remember, and then I got a job at Victoria's Secret, and in both situations, appearance was very important. There was that fear of non-acceptance of like, I need to fit into this ministry school. It was very trendy, very cool. So you have to show up and look cool and put together, but also like you didn't try too hard. And that love of makeup did continue and grow with me. And then also at Victoria's Secret. But also, again, that was part of the job. You wanted to look put together. You wanted to look great because you want like women to want to shop with you, basically. You want women to want to be your friend while you are helping them through this experience. It was also a great trick to get people to remember your name. So hot tip, anyone who works in retail world and you track sales, wear some red lipstick because the person will always say, oh, it was the girl with red lipstick. Hot
You'll
trick.
get your sales numbers.
Yep. And then you're like, oh yeah, you will. No one else is going to steal my sales because it can't be like, oh, it was like Vanessa or Kelly or, whoever. Anyway, that was my personal trick. Mm-hmm. But I remember I went to Target one day to like pick up a prescription or something, and I was like sick and just didn't have the energy to put it on makeup. And I remember walking through Target and being like really embarrassed for some reason, even though I loved makeup and I always was like, I'm beautiful, like I don't need it. It did become something I kind of relied on to feel like more comfortable in my skin. And so I was kind of like looking down at the floor, which isn't super like me. I normally try to keep my head up unintentionally and I look at people. And I remember like kind of looking down on the ground, and I decided to go ahead and look up and be like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening with me internally? And I was like, I feel embarrassed. And I looked around and I was like, literally no one else in Target gives a single shit that I'm not wearing makeup. So why the fuck do I care? And that was like my switch moment. But yeah, I do feel the need to be professional, to show up like a woman that's quote unquote put together. And actually makeup, even though I really love it, I love to experiment and have fun with it. You'll see me from time to time rock a gold eyeshadow or a bright lipstick. Or I meant gold eyeliner, not gold eyeshadow. Also gold eyeshadow. But it has actually stopped being such a deep joy and love. It's more something like to check off my to-do list in the morning, which is kind of sad because I used to like really have a passion. Something else that I did kind of have to like unlearn was this perception that makeup is only for women. I grew up without the internet, which was tragic. Like literally didn't have the internet at home, guys. Didn't have a Facebook, didn't know how to Google shit. But when I moved out to California and got access to the internet, I like found so many beauty channels that I loved. And a lot of the best beauty like people, gurus or, you know, like makeup artists are men. Like one of my favorite makeup artists ever is actually Scott Barnes, who is JLo's makeup artist. He is amazing. He has developed literally a whole culture around contouring. And it all started with Scott Barnes. So yeah, I really loved the education side of makeup as well, learning techniques, practicing, having fun, and the reality that makeup isn't just for women. It's for whoever wants to feel better about themselves, whoever wants to self-express. And I think that for me was really important, like realizing this is not exclusively feminine. This is more self-care and self-expression and being comfortable in your own skin. So that was a really interesting, fun education moment for myself coming from a small, like conservative, like little culture. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I have a bit of a curveball question for you guys. Do you think that it's unfair that men don't feel pressure to wear makeup?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, from a time in the morning perspective, yes. Like they don't have to spend 15 to 30 minutes every morning.
Spend that much time getting ready
on my makeup?
Yeah.
I mean, it probably takes me like an hour or more to get ready, but like makeup itself is like 10 minutes. Yeah.
How long does it take you?
I mean, it depends what I'm doing, but I take
like
my time.
You don't really do very much makeup most days, though.
Girl.
I feel like you are doing a good amount of makeup. You're just doing it in a very subtle way.
I'm very particular.
Yeah. I don't think that it's not makeup. It's that it's just you do it in a certain way.
Yeah. I like more of a Bobbi Brown technique where it's like, you won't know I'm wearing makeup. Like, I want it to look like part of my skin. But, yeah, I feel like I take, like, depending, 30 to 45 minutes.
Anyways, so what I'm saying is I think, like, men, from that perspective of they don't have to spend X amount of time every morning to put this on perspective, yes, it's unfair. And, like, they're not going to not get promoted if they wear it or if they don't wear it.
Yeah.
Yes. But, on the other hand, like if they did wear it, the very opposite would be true for them, I think, for the most part. Like, I think men are pressured not to wear makeup. If they do wear makeup, it could potentially harm them professionally or socially or whatever, as being construed as flamboyant or homosexual or, I don't know, too much or like weird or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of just depends on what perspective you're looking at it from.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think we've all seen over the past decade, like more and more men embracing makeup and wearing makeup, but I generally don't see that in what I would call a more like, I guess, like corporate workspace type of environment. Like, I mean, guys that work at Ulta, I see wearing makeup all the time, and like, or just like guys on the street, but not on the street as in like houseless, but just like out and about.
Yeah.
And so like I see that, but yeah, you definitely, I think that there's a sense that that is unprofessional for a man to do, which is just fascinating to me when you think about like the history of makeup, because men historically used to wear makeup very often, and then it fell away or like fell out of favor, popularity, and it wasn't as much of like a feminine thing to do until later in history, in the like as you look at from the advent of makeup on. And so, which I think was like in ancient Egypt was like when they first started wearing makeup. But it's fascinating to me. Obviously there tend to be higher beauty standards on women than men. And I don't know, it like, I feel like it kind of grinds my gears a little bit that there is that expectation that like, or that like the fact that there's an expectation for women to wear makeup to be professional, and the fact that there is an expectation for men to not wear makeup to be professional. Part of me is like, why do you care? Why does that matter?
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. Have you guys had like particular perceptions of men who wear makeup?
I already mentioned them. Flamboyant, homosexual.
Like those are your personal perceptions?
No, I mean, I'm just saying like perceptions that I've grown up with. Like now, if I see a man wearing makeup, nowadays I usually assume it's like because he's into fashion or like something like that. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a man wearing makeup, you must be into fashion.
Yeah.
That is like, that's to me like the only, not that like people can't or whatever, but like to me that's one of the only like socially acceptable whatever. Or like obviously that's not including the trans community or drag community or whatever, but just like the average dude, cisgender dude.
Yeah.
Straight cisgender dude.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of theater and dance classes and ballet and music, so I was around men that chose more expressive lifestyles and a lot of men that were gay. And so I felt like it was like more of like a quote unquote gay thing or an LGBTQ thing. But as I like, again, grew up and got more acquainted with more of the makeup world, I found the RuPauls and the Manny MUAs and the Brett, I forget his last name, and who's the young one? James Charles. Like, I got more acquainted with the male icons of beauty. And so I found like actually an admiration for men in makeup. So I think I kind of disassembled some of my preconceptions.
But also, like, if Ross showed up in my room wearing makeup, like, it'd be weird. Like, not that he can't wear makeup, but, like...
Depends on the makeup.
But I'm just saying, like, it depends on, like, just because I don't think it's wrong, right? Like, it's still abnormal. And so it would be, surprising.
If you think, like, knowing your husband, Ross, like, it would be a shock for him to walk up wearing makeup, because that's not something that you see him doing ever. You know, so that would be a shock, in the same way that it might be a shock if a girl that you always see with a full face of makeup walked up without any makeup on. Right. Or vice versa. Like, that is a shock to people. But it is fascinating to me how makeup does seem very closely linked to sexuality a lot of times. The assumption is if you're a man and you wear makeup, you must be gay.
Yeah.
There's an assumption that if you're a woman who doesn't wear makeup, that like there's the association with being a lesbian with that. Like there's the idea like, oh, you're butch, you know? And that's like a terrible assumption to make. Like, I mean, just assuming people's sexuality like that is terrible in general.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, yeah.
And so that's just fascinating to me that that's become linked to sexuality in the same way that the church has linked it to your sexual promiscuity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like there's definitely been a weird, almost renaissance within the makeup community because like now there's things like RuPaul's Drag Race and drag is more common and more widely accepted and you know, women aren't required to wear as much makeup as they used to, you know, to be quote unquote successful or promoted. I feel like that has lessened to an extent. I don't feel like it's gone, but you know, when you think back to like the 80s, like those trends were very different and professionalism looked very different then versus now it's more subdued and natural or whatever. So what's your relationship with makeup like now? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it fun? Is it something you feel fully obligated to do?
So as of late, in the last year, I have like been dealing with a very serious acne problem. And so my relationship with makeup has become much more dependent. Because I definitely have felt like embarrassed to like show my real face. And so I feel like I am just now in my mid-20s experiencing what most girls experience in their teens, where there's like kind of an embarrassment to like be out without makeup, which I know like people in their 20s still experience too. But I feel like I'm kind of processing that now. And definitely it 100% feels tied to this like professional like career that I'm building and what people think, and I have to look a certain way and be a certain type of person in order to be successful or whatever. So right now, like I've always been very simple with my makeup, and right now I still don't like I wear some concealer and I wear some powder and I wear mascara for the most part, and that's it. But it's all very much like to cover what my natural skin looks like right now, which is something that has been healing I think I'm on like week 7 of a program. So it is getting better, and like we are healing and we are getting some of the root issues out of my diet and my lifestyle and whatever. But so that's all good. But definitely has been like a very, I don't know what the word is, like vulnerable experience. And has revealed a lot to me about how I actually feel about like wearing makeup in the workplace and what like beauty means in the workplace. And like I even to an extent like how dependent I have always been and even have become of my looks to like help me get places. And like I think maybe even a core belief that like beauty is, and I don't even know if it's a wrong belief. Like, I think it might be true that, like, beautiful people get promoted.
Nope,
like,
100%.
Beautiful people get attention. Beautiful people get book deals. Like, whatever. And so, like, kind of experiencing that, like, nervousness and anxiousness around, like, my face right now is not its normal self. And, like, what am I going to do? And what are people going to think? And am I going to lose, like, standing?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things for someone who is, you know, quote unquote privileged, like to realize the extent of it. Like we are all beautiful women. Like we probably all really benefit from that in life. We are all fairly thin women. We all benefit from that in life. And I think that is probably one of the hardest pills to swallow is when you realize, oh, this thing that I've relied on that has helped me in life, it's real. You know, it's hard. Like I've, you know, gained weight the past few years, and it's like, oh, like I'm actually not treated the same as I used to, even though the difference is only 20, 25 pounds.
Right.
Like it's not that big of a difference, but it is something that I've noticed and experienced in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
It's
It
hard.
like makes a difference on like how you're treated and how people perceive you and like whether or not people want to be around you or whatever, or make an effort to be around you,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And so it definitely, I mean, I've said this before, there's pretty privilege. And I would be lying if I didn't think that I had reaped the benefits from that. And also if I would be lying if I said I had not like experienced the fear of losing it. And I think like now in my 20s, I'm young and whatever, but like even getting older and body changing and having babies and all those stuff, like all those things are mountains that I am going to have to climb at some point when it comes to like how I see myself and my value aside from my appearance. So I think it's all very much connected, and my relationship with makeup has changed based on that for sure.
I feel like for me, at this point in time in my relationship with makeup, I feel very sort of just, good with it. Like that overall.
That's good, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's when I started like reincorporating makeup into my world in college, I like experimented a lot more with like colors and things that were a bit more, I guess, like bold or poppy. And then especially when the first time I came out to California for an internship, I saw a lot of people wearing a lot more makeup than they did on the East Coast. And so I felt like pressure to do that as well, and like dove into more makeup from that. But it felt more like I was seeing other people doing these things, and I realized like, oh, I could do that too. That could be fun, rather than necessarily feeling like I had to. And now my approach to makeup is a lot more natural than it was at that time. Like at that time I wore like basically black lipstick sometimes or red lipstick
it.
and like had like multiple colors of eyeshadow like in different parts of my eyelid because I was like doing the smoky eye John and like all that kind of stuff. So like I used to do all those things, and I think actually part of what impacted me going towards a more natural look was that I then went on the mission field for a year, and so my makeup was pared down a lot while I was doing that, because I mean I was in third world countries just like sweating my butt off, and like there was no reason to wear makeup a lot of the time. So when I came back from the mission field, I started incorporating makeup again and like getting a feel for it again, and had to sort of like realize that my preferences had changed. Like I was wearing much bolder makeup before I went on the mission field, and then after a year of little to no makeup, I was like, oh, I don't want to, that's just not the way I want my face to look anymore. And I feel like I've struggled a little bit with like being okay with my preferences changing when it comes to appearance like that. So like I even think about with blush. Like I never wore blush until months ago, just a couple months ago. And never ever wore it. Was always like, I don't get why you would wear blush. I don't get the point of it. I don't think it looks very good. Like
Kelly's shocked.
I just didn't get it. And I was like, also like, I generally have flushed cheeks anyways. So why would I make them redder? I'm trying to down redness in general. Like that's dumb. That was my thought of blush pretty much my whole life. And then now recently being like, oh, I think I'll wear a little bit of blush. It's been, it was like a minor sort of crisis of thought of being like, have I just like somehow been influenced to wear blush and I didn't know? And then I'm like, well, actually, it's okay for me to decide that I want to wear this now. Mm-hmm. It's okay to change my mind or to like decide to do something different, because like, just because I'm not wearing bright red lipstick and now I'm wearing a little bit of blush, that doesn't mean that I'm a different person, you know? And so I think at this point in my life, I'm holding like what my preferences are with makeup a lot looser. and also like feel very just like comfortable with it, and don't feel like I have to have makeup on, don't feel like I have to have a certain amount of makeup on, but feel like I just am gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah, absolutely. It was me. I'm the one that subtly convinced you to wear blush.
I
so
actually think it was a specific influencer that I follow.
You're welcome.
She wears a lot of blush.
It was me.
It
I was the one.
Not you. It was
definitely
an
me.
influencer.
Also, I wear
Actually-
blush sometimes and I look great in it, so
Yeah.
it could have been me.
I actually layer my blush.
Well, you want to know a secret?
Yeah.
This is maybe a faux pas, maybe not. I don't even own blush. I just use eyeshadow.
Yeah. I put
probably
blush
the
on
same
my
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I put blush on my eyes. I put eyeshadow on my face. I put eyeshadow in my eyebrows.
Lipstick in her eyebrows.
You can make blush out of lipstick, like
Yeah.
whatever.
I just was like, why would I buy blush? I already have all these eyeshadows.
Absolutely, you do it.
If you got colors that you like and they look good and you enjoy wearing them,
Yeah.
I
whatever,
mean, I hope
like
so.
there
Would
you go.
you guys tell me if I looked ugly?
Yeah,
No, you wouldn't.
I would never think that.
I wouldn't
So even if I showed up looking like a clown,
be like, well, that's Emma's self-expression today. She is showing up as herself.
God.
Well, I just
And I
don't-
will love her and
I don't know.
embrace
I
her.
just don't typically look at people and go, "Wow, they look ugly today." So I don't know. Like I can't really help you out there.
I don't do that either. To be honest.
I mean, I definitely analyze people's makeup. I cannot lie. I look very closely.
Well, you must be disappointed
I was
every
gonna
day.
say,
that I
what's your
show up, 'cause
analysis of
I'm
our makeup
boring.
then?
We can talk about it later.
Okay.
So my relationship with makeup, I mean, I kind of said it earlier. I feel like it's something on my to-do list in the morning versus something that I really truly savor now, which is a bit of a bummer because I really truly had a passion and I loved makeup. And I still do, but it's also kind of like where we live is like not super fashion forward and not super, I mean, there is in ways, but it's like hipstery.
You don't like get to go out.
Wear
here,
black
really, you know?
jeans and a black t-shirt with some boots kind of style. But also I'm kind of like, I don't like to ascribe to a style. I like to thrift. I mean, I have a purple jumpsuit in my closet at this moment that I am waiting for the right moment to wear. But yeah, it does feel like something, to start my quote unquote professional day to get done, which is kind of sad. But I will say I admired someone very recently who was just like having a normal day and she was wearing blue eyeliner and she looked amazing. And I was like, wait a second, I can wear blue eyeliner. Why am I not wearing blue eyeliner? But there's also a practicality side to it as well. Like I like to collect makeup. In the past, that's something I've really, really loved. And I'm not trying to buy a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to wear all the time and that's going to expire. So there's like that practicality side to it as well. But I still do love makeup. Anytime there's like a time to dress up, like I'm like all over it. Or, but also I think there is like that level of like, talking about the professional world. I do almost kind of resent when people are like, oh, you look so beautiful today. Like, I do find myself, like, cringing internally and being like, oh, because I'm pretty, I'm going to get more of your attention. You're going to pay attention more to what I have to say. Like, I almost internally, like...
Is that specifically when people say that in the workplace, or is that, like, in general?
Yeah, like, there was a day really recently that I was, like, shocked. Like, but, like, 5 or 6 people complimented my makeup, which is very kind. And I was like, thank you so much. That's really nice. But I did my normal ass makeup. Like, I did nothing special. Like, they were like, oh my gosh, you look so good. And it made me question, like, are you, like, just, like, looking at me for, like, the first time in a while? Because this is what I look like almost every day. I actually didn't do anything different. I was like, I got a full night's sleep, I'm hydrated, and I started using retinol. Like, that was, like, my response. And internally, I almost, like felt abrasive because I was like almost upset that these people were giving me so much attention as opposed to every other day. It's like, but I look this way almost every single day. And Like, I'm pretty every single day, and I'm deserving for you to listen to me every single day. And so it was an interesting moment that I'm, like, fleshing out.
So wait, was it a workplace thing or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was throughout my workday. Like,
Gotcha.
5 or 6 different people told me I looked really good and my makeup looked beautiful. And I was, like, very taken aback for some reason. But I still do have a love for makeup. I still think it's really fun. I still think it's a form of self-expression. If you're just listening, you can't see. I am wearing purple lipstick right now, and it's very fun. But yeah, it's like an interesting balance, right? There's the quote unquote kind of need for it in a way, but also the like rebellion of wanting to love it and not because you need it.
Yeah. I will say, you said practicality, and that is definitely something that I think about with makeup as well, is like, okay, like, is this actually, because there is and has been a big mentality around like hoarding makeup and having like a makeup collection, especially in like the YouTube influencer world, where they show their drawers and drawers and drawers of makeup that they have just purchased or been sent, and it's like an insurmountable amount of makeup. Like, nobody could use all of that makeup without it expiring first. And that's one thing that I think about too, is like, which is why I like, my blush is eyeshadow, because I'm like, why would I buy another thing when I already have a thing that does the same exact thing?
Yeah.
But also, like, practicality was part of the reason why I stopped wearing lipstick all the time, because I was just like, I'm tired of having lipstick on my water bottle. So I just don't want to do it. I'm tired of like having to touch up lipstick and being conscious of it when I eat.
I have to like circle it back real quick to the very beginning. What do you wish you had heard about beauty and makeup, like, as a young woman? What messaging do you wish you had received around the topic?
See, that's kind of a hard question. I think I probably would have wished that as a young girl, I had been encouraged to express my femininity as well as my masculinity. Because I definitely was encouraged to express my masculinity. I think in a way, to my dad, it was his way of protecting me, right? Like, if I don't act too feminine, then I'm not going to get, like, got or whatever.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, it definitely took a process and still is taking a process of, like, allowing myself to be feminine and present as feminine, and be okay with all of the connotations that may or may not come with, or whatever internal mental obstacles I've overcome. So, like, I think, but I don't know. I don't know if that's common for anybody, but I guess for anybody that wasn't rewarded or wasn't, like, affirmed for expressing their femininity or whatever, like, you can do that and you can experiment, and you don't have to, like, stay within, like, a certain, I don't know, like, way of being. Like, you don't change even if, like, your expressions change. So feel free to experiment there. And then beyond that, I don't know. Like, I think maybe I've ignored beauty things for so long, or like kind of been very minimalistic about them, so I don't know. I don't feel like overly saturated in the makeup world necessarily. Like, I appreciate people who love it, and I appreciate people who don't, and I just put it on every day to get to work. Like, that is me in makeup.
Yeah. I definitely do think that there's a lot of women that have that same, like, upbringing as you, or in, like, just in general, feeling like they cannot express femininity because that is not as acceptable. Like, that's definitely a narrative that a lot of girls get. Because, I mean, if you look just in general, success has more often looked like being more masculine and sort of tamping down the femininity. The women that you see come up and be successful, you think about, like, the Margaret Thatchers, like, she was, like, a strong arm, masculine woman who even, like, said a lot of sexist things about women. And she was, like, an image of success as a woman. Like, that's what's seen as more acceptable. And if you're more of like a girly, feminine girl, then you're instantly written off like a Kardashian or that kind of thing. You're put onto the sidelines or written off, and sure, they might be like monetarily successful, but they're not respected. So I think that that's definitely a message a lot of girls get, is that idea that like to have respect, to have acceptance, like to be a humble, good Christian girl, even like you need to tamp down the femininity. So for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I wish that I had been encouraged and that there wasn't this weird dance of like, you can play with makeup, but you can't wear makeup out. And I'm like, well, if I can play with it, why can't I wear it out? Like, and I think also, like, I wish I hadn't, yeah, kind of like you mentioned, like, it wasn't like, oh, because you wear makeup and care about your appearance, you're ditzy. Or you're not smart or unintelligent, or like, you know, the stupid dumb blonde jokes like people would like tell me all the time, like, oh, Kelly, you're blonde on the inside, like mean things like that. And it's like, makeup is an interest. It's an art form. Like, it is something that helps you feel good about yourself, but you don't need it. It's not a requirement. But it's something that can help you feel better. And the way you feel is everything, in my opinion. So yeah, it's really sad that we place so much pressure and stress on this one thing, especially growing up, and that it hadn't been, I just wish I hadn't been like discouraged. Or that it's like, oh, well, you're one of those girls. You're like the quote unquote Kardashians, which I have mad respect for. Brilliant businesswomen. But yeah, also, you know, it kind of was like, it was good for me too in a way, because I was like, you know what? I don't really care what they think. Like, maybe I might not have worn as bright of blue eyeshadow, but I still wore blue eyeshadow. And so in a way, it's like, yeah, you might have your preferences about me, but I'm going to choose to still show up as me. And I think that was good in a way. It was a life lesson. And not that I think bullying is acceptable, but I do think you sometimes gain some benefits from experiencing some of those harsh realities of life. Again, don't endorse it. Don't think it's good. But in the end, I felt like I came out on top, for sure.
Yeah. For me, I feel like I am appreciative that my parents had a very hands-off message with me wearing makeup, and that they were happy for me to express myself however I wanted to, which resulted in some interesting makeup and clothing and hair choices. But they were very permissive and like very glad for me to express myself. I think that I wish I had received some messaging from my parents or elders or someone that like earlier on that like of them talking to me about where is the root of you wearing makeup coming from, because it was so connected to insecurity for me. I guess I wish that even though it's nice that my parents didn't like question me, I wish that they had maybe questioned a little bit. Like, well, what do you like, why, how do you feel when you don't wear makeup? Or like, what does makeup like mean for you? Or like, what is your reason for wearing it? I just wish that they had maybe had that open vein of communication with me about that, because I didn't ever feel comfortable to express that I felt like I needed it, because it was like embarrassing to even admit that I needed makeup, you know? And so I kind of wish that, I mean, in some ways that's something that like they couldn't have known to do. But I think that's the message that I wish I had had, was it doesn't have to be something that's only rooted in insecurity. It can be purely self-expression.
Actually, even hearing you talk about like makeup and clothing and all those things in that way, like I don't think that like expressing myself through clothing or makeup or whatever was ever like an option for me. Like it was just like, well, number one, we were very poor. So, like, my options were limited. So that's just a whole separate issue. But number two, like, my parents were permissive in some ways, but, like, mostly just not attentive to, like, what we wore. Or, I mean, aside from it being modest. As long as it was modest, it was fine, you know? And so, like, I never really felt freedom to fully just express myself through clothes. And or makeup or anything like that. It just felt like, I don't know, I think that's... I never understood that. I heard people talk about it, and I heard people, like, I don't know, express the desire and the need to express themselves through their clothes and their makeup, but, like, I never personally, like, experienced that ever. Like, I don't have a grid for that.
So then is that something that you feel like now you're exploring more as an adult? Like, tell me more. Where does that leave you right now?
That's a great question. Yeah, like, I think probably more and more. But sometimes it honestly, like, clothing for me, hair, like, all the things is, like, picking something that works and that I could wear and feel good in and then don't have to worry about. Like, that is my relationship with, like, makeup, clothing, whatever. Like, I'm not... And I do think, like, I have a couple, like, pieces that I love and, like, do feel like me and whatever. But, like, I don't know. I've just never really, like, been able to, like, fully translate myself through the language of clothing and makeup, I think, or appearance or hair or whatever. So, yeah, it's always interesting when I hear other people talk about it because I was like, what is that like? I don't know. I don't really know.
Because, like, with clothes, like, I love, like, vintage. I love clothes. I am a girly girl. Girl's girl. And, like, for me, like, when I pick something out, particularly something that's, like, a statement piece, I'm like, oh, I am putting on this, like, piece of art and, like, wearing it as almost like a display. And it's, like, for me, it's, like, a sense of, like, pride of, like, look at this stunning piece that I have collected and that is now mine. And I'm going to model it for you. You're welcome. Like, that's the way I tend to approach wardrobe, especially when it's like, oh, you're wearing something a little more out of the box or eye-catching or whatever. It's like a you're welcome moment. And then, like, I feel the same way with, like, makeup. Like, when I do it, when it's like, oh, I'm wearing, like, a stunning lipstick. It's like, you're welcome. But really, like, you're welcome to myself. And, like, I think for me, I just circle back to, like, I forget where this quote comes from, but it's, like, this whole, like, who are you getting so dressed up for? Who are you wearing makeup for? Who are you doing your hair for? I'm like, my own damn self. The end. And so I think for me, that's, like, what I hope to continue and pass on to if I have children and if I have daughters. This idea of, like, do it for yourself. Do what feels good for you. Celebrate yourself. Model the art piece. You know, wear the highlighter. Like, God blessed you with those cheekbones. You should be showing them off. And enjoying them. Enjoying the skin you're in because you have one skin. And when it's gone, you know? So it's like, why not? Well, with that being said, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today, for diving into the topic of makeup, which I feel like we scratched the surface. I feel like it could just go deeper and deeper, but alas, we've hit our time cap. So, Emma, thank you for being here and for sharing your thoughts. Kelly, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And for sharing your thoughts. And just as a final reminder, woman beings, you can follow us on Instagram, on TikTok. We are on TikTok, on YouTube, and almost all podcast listening platforms out there. We also have a website. It's womanbeingcommunity.com. You can visit our beautiful faces more there. And as I'm stumbling over my words, we're just going to wrap it up and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
See you next week.